My name's Jack Ginever. I am the product manager of the document management system, a product from Levy and Associates located in St. Louis, Missouri. What we'll be doing today, the purpose of this videotape, is to show you a sample demonstration of the product. If you have any marketing or sales type issues that you need addressed, I suggest that you call Ray Burns in application engineering or myself in our St. Louis office. So what we'll be demonstrating today is the document management system. First, what I'd like to explain to you is the different features of the document management system. First of all, it is a full-featured document management system, and what we mean by that is it contains a lot of components most commonly needed by prospects and customers. For instance, filing and retrieval, which is just the base part of the product where you can file things and retrieve them back out in image format. There's a workflow component, a letter generation component, a forms generation component, a COM replacement option, and then Levy and Associates will provide integration and conversion services for the product. So what I'd like to do in the course of this demonstration is go through a quick demo of the filing and retrieval part of the product, the workflow part of the product, and the COM replacement part of the product, because those seem to be the most recognized in the market today. So let's start off with the filing and retrieval part of the product. The features of the base filing and retrieval part of the product are multiple document formats. We not only support images, but we also support what we call DP and WP. DP, of course, means data processing, your common computer printouts, and WP, word processing. We also provide unlimited indexes and index categories, which means that you can make your own index categories and provide as many indexes as you want in the system. We also supply special indexes that we call dates, authors, and subjects. This allows us to do calculations on dates, and we can also associate authors and subjects to documents. There is a scanning and indexing part of the system, a complete batching component for streamlining the scanning and indexing process, and some special features in the indexing process for prompting operators for indexes based on document types. And also there's finally a component called optical disk facilities that copies images from magnetic to optical, and also deals with DP and WP documents as well. So let's get into the system itself. This is the main menu of the system, and as I described before, there is a storage part, which means the scanning and indexing part of the system, a retrieval part of the system, an optical disk support part of the system, and then other administrative parts, storage structure and user administration. We're going to go into the most commonly used one called retrieval, which is how you get images and documents out of the system after they've already been filed. As you can see, you can access either by folder, as you can see over here, or by documents, or by a combination of folders and documents down here in this corner. And then there's just kind of basic query functions over here in the lower right-hand corner. But one of the first things that we ask people is what types of folders do they have in their system. And if we go into number 2 here, folder type, we'll see that you can define different types of folders to our system. And this is a user modifiable table so that you can add your own and make the system act the way you want it to. We're going to concentrate on one here called vendor. Some of the other ones that you might notice are customers, employees, lenders, life claims. As you can see, they can be a variety of different types of folders depending on the needs of the customer. But if we select one here called vendor and open it up and press the 10 key for folders, we'll see a list of all the vendor folders in the system. Now, we do provide the basic paste query type function. So now if I want to, I can do a query on the description of the folder. So everything begins with an I, and it narrows it down to the folders for Levy and Associates. And you'll also notice that there can be multiple folders for that particular vendor There's one in this particular instance for 1989, 1990, and 1991. Now if we open up a folder, hit the 12 key, we'll see that you can subdivide a folder into tabs. This particular folder has 4 tabs, 1 for invoices, 2 for contracts, 3 for correspondence, and 4 for purchase orders. This is another feature of the system that is completely tailorable per folder type. That is, every time a new vendor folder comes into the system, it will automatically add these 4 tabs to that type of folder. So all the vendor folders look exactly the same. Now if we open up tabs, I'm going to open up correspondence here, we'll see the actual documents within that tab. One of the first things you might notice is that these documents have a specific document format. For instance, this first one here is a DP document, which means it's a computer report. The second one is an image, and these last 2 are the 2 different word processing formats supplied by Wang. Now if we do a display on this DP document here, I'm going to hit the 14 key, View Document, we'll see that it displays the computer report in ASCII format. Now this computer report is 132 columns, so I'm going to scroll to the right here and scroll to the left. So you can see all 132 characters through scrolling functions. One of the main benefits of keeping it in this format is that this ASCII format takes up a lot less space than image format, and it also is in a format that the computer recognizes. For instance, I can do a find on a string within this document. I'm looking for Social Security number, abbreviated SSN, and it comes back and finds a match. If I hit the Enter key again, it'll find the next one, and the next one, and the next one, which is really fast and can be valuable for people that need to do text searches. Now if we look at the next document, that was data processing, DP. The next one is an image. I hit the same display key. It invokes an image display routine to go out to the image server and bring up the image. And finally, there is a format called WP. If I hit the same View key, we'll bring up a description of that document and a utility to browse the word processing document. And again, you can do various functions like find. I'm going to look for DMS here, and it finds the string DMS within the document because this is stored in an ASCII format, much like the DP documents are. That is the basic structure of a file folder, and a way of getting at the information within the file folder. I want to touch on a few other ways of referencing file folders. Probably one of the most common ones is called cross-references. A good example of this is that we might have employee folders that are referenced by employee name, but we would also like to reference them by Social Security number. So what we do is, I'm going to go into number 9 here, cross-reference type. We define a cross-reference type to the system called Social Security number. And again, this is a table that you just modify and maintain yourself. So if I have a category called Social Security number, I can then open up that category here with the 10 key and get a list of all the Social Security numbers in the system. Again, we have query functions, so I can narrow it down to certain ones. I'm going to narrow it down to the ones that begin with 55, and it comes back with the result list. The particular one that I want is this first one, though, because it has one document associated with it in 2 folders. So if I hit the 10 key here, I will see 2 folders that are pointed to by this particular Social Security number. And they are 2 claim folders. This happens to be a claim application where the insurance company references the claims folders by the claim number. That's the main way that they go in. But they also want to be able to reference those claim folders by the Social Security number. So what we have just demonstrated is an alternate way of getting to that same file folder. And once you get to this part, you can open it up and look at tabs within, and then open up the tabs and look at the documents, just like we did before. Also, you can add notes. These little asterisks here indicate that there is a note attached to this. And here is the first 25 characters of that note. If I wanted to see the whole note, I could open up a display and see the free-form text associated with that note. So that was cross-reference types. There are other types of things called date types, which allows you to attach dates to file folders. Again, it's a table in the system that you can define yourself. I'm going to look at maintenance renewal dates and see if there's any folders attached to it. Well, there's some vendors here that we have some maintenance with, and there are certain dates attached to them. We see them here. This is a good situation where we might want to do a query and find out everyone that is between March 1st, 91 and May 1st, 91. Okay, so there are two folders out there that have maintenance renewal dates between the dates of March 1st, 1991 and May 1st, 1991. So this can be used to query against the system to find out upcoming events that are going to happen. For instance, if somebody needs to be renewed or some type of termination period is coming up for this customer, client, vendor, whatever it might be. Then real briefly, we have various other indexes that we call subject, a list of subjects that you can add to the system and attach documents to, authors, a list of people that have authored the documents, and also document types. Now, document types is interesting because you can also specify with the document type a retention schedule for that document type. And you can specify that in periods of years, months, and days, or a particular deadline date. All right, that is a quick rundown of the base part of the system. What I'd like to do now is show you the workflow component of the system. The features of the workflow component are electronic in-baskets and desks, that you can assign tasks to either an individual user or a work group, which is a set of users that perform the same task. The document management system workflow product will automatically route and assign tasks to users or work groups. And it will do that in a parallel or serial fashion. You can also build in task dependencies such that it will not start up a certain task until certain other tasks have completed. And one of the main selling features of the DMS workflow product is that it's closely tied with the base part of the system. So that means that you can implement a filing and retrieval system and then implement workflow later, or you can implement workflow up front with the filing and retrieval part of the system. So let's get into that part of the system, and I'll show you how that works. Basically, we put a desk key on here, which is your electronic desk, and that is your gateway into the workflow part of the product. Desk functions include looking at your in-basket, looking at your desk items, and then you can look at the group in-baskets, which are work groups, things that get routed to work groups that you belong to. You can look at the tasks that have been assigned to you, and you can also look at active workflows in the system. Let's first look at the desk to see how this all works. Option number 2. This is my desk, and this shows all the things that I'm working on. So this is a description of the thing that I'm working on. I can prioritize it the way that I want on my desk. This also indicates that there are different types of things that you can put on your desk. For instance, this first item is a file folder. It's a folder of documents, a set of documents. This second one is an individual document. And remember, a document can be an image, data processing, or a word processing document. So document has kind of a generic term, generic flavor here. Also, we can have phone messages and memos. So why don't I display these really quickly to show you how this works. I'm going to do a view on this folder, a description of the folder, and now I can open up the folder just like I did within the other part of the system where I showed the contents of the folder and the documents within it. And we see here a lot of documents for this folder. Now if I hit the same display key for this document here, it invokes the appropriate utility to either bring up an image or to display a DP document or to display a WP document. If I display a phone message, you'll see the popular pink slip that is routed around among organizations nowadays, date and time, the person that called, the organization, the phone number, that it's urgent, and that there's a message involved with it. And also there's one more format called Memo, which is just free-form text that you can write out and route around to other people. So, speaking of route around, the desk functions contain various email-type functions, and those are route. So I'm going to route this phone message to Irv Levy. And you can send it to a set of users if you'd like. And it comes back and says that this has been routed to Irv. I can also route it to a work group if I wish. Now I'll get a list of all the work groups. Now I can select the claims clerk work group, and this will now show up into a work group in basket. There's a special type of workflow process here called automatic workflows that follow a workflow script. And we can see that one here because we notice that there's a task associated with this item on my desk. Let me first show you this visual associated with this workflow demonstration. What we're basically doing is doing a insurance claim workflow, and in fact what we're going to be concentrating on is verify coverage, this one piece of the workflow that is called verify coverage. So to give you a little bit of background, a claim comes into the system, it's scanned and faxed, scanned or faxed in, a claim folder is created, policy information is gathered, and then there's a person here called a claims clerk that will verify the coverage to make sure that this policy covers the claim that is coming in. So we'll leave that there. And this particular loss notice is attached to that workflow script. So what I do now is look at this task info. It tells me that the reason that this is on my desk is that it expects me to verify the coverage. And the date and time that it was assigned to me is right there. So what I'll do now is maybe bounce over to another window and go to a mainframe, actually verify the coverage on the policy. Or maybe I have an automatic task that automatically logs onto the mainframe for me and finds out what the status of the policy is. Once that happens, I say that I'm done with the task. The system prompts me for the outcome of what I found out. Possibly the claim was not covered by this policy that I found, or there was no policy at all, the policy's not found. There was a policy there, but it's not paid up, or everything is okay. So I'm going to say that I checked on the policy and everything is okay. It asks me to confirm my decision. The system then comes back and says, well, based on that decision, the next thing that I'm going to do is assign this task, set up claim on claim system, to the claims clerk workgroup. And it will automatically assign that task and route this item to the claims clerk workgroup. That is a real brief rundown of the workflow part of the system. There are other capabilities as well, but we will need to have a longer demonstration to demonstrate those. The last part of the system that I want to talk about is the COM replacement part. And the main reason that this gets special attention is because we see tremendous potential for this type of product out in the marketplace right now. Basically, our product allows you to input COM tapes and define indexes within those COM documents. So one of the features is that a user can define how those documents are going to be indexed, and they can be automatically indexed by our programs. These documents can be displayed from character-based workstations. You don't need an image-capable workstation to display these. And one of the main features is that you can get into a COM replacement system and, with our product, expand it into an imaging system. So let's go up and look at how that works. Basically what you do is you define a COM file to our system right here in one of these lines. And you give it the file, library, and volume of that file. Then you associate a report description with that. Now this is going to tell our system how to burst that file into separate documents. And the way that it does that is by report definition. And a report definition goes like this. This is an invoice, and we can identify an invoice by looking for an account number in horizontal position 44, vertical position 18 for a length of 9. And that's how we decide where an invoice starts and stops. Now, once we run this through the bursting process, it creates a bunch of documents out of that file, and then we can come down to our retrieval system and look for files like that. And I'm going to look at documents, and I know that there are invoices out there that have been filed electronically this way, so I'm going to search for invoices. And they come out as a format of data processing, and it will look into that file for the particular instance of that one invoice. And I'll show you how that works. I'll hit the display key. It will bring up just that part of the file that has to deal with that one particular invoice. And then I can scroll forward, look for particular information. This happens to be a phone billing report, so I'm going to look at everything for the area code of 213, which I believe is Los Angeles. Okay, so it finds an instance there, and there, and so forth. So, and then these same type of documents can be filed into the file folders that have images and word processing documents in them as well. So, in summary, we have demonstrated the document management system, the base part of the system, which includes filing and retrieval. We've also demonstrated the workflow product and the COM replacement product. Other optional components are letter generation, which includes the capability to automatically generate a letter, and it'll fill in name, address, city, state, zipped, prompt the operator for certain things like customized text paragraphs. You can also put in canned paragraphs, pre-defined paragraphs that can go into parts of the letter. We can generate filled out forms, and that's called forms generation. And also we can provide integration and conversion services for integrating with existing mainframes, other computing environments, or converting other image formats or paper that has been converted into image through conversion companies like Wesco. And I will again iterate that if you have any other questions, please call myself in the St. Louis office. Again, my name is Jack Ginever, or contact Ray Burns in the Application Engineering Group. Thank you very much.